Wellington Council's long-term plan will be in jeopardy if Mayor Tory Whanau can't get a majority to support a sale of airport shares. It's a crucial test of her leadership and ability to bring together what has historically been a fractured council. Now, for transparency's sake, there is some misunderstanding and confusion in this interview, and the Mayor amends some of her answers. I started the interview by asking about the redevelopment of Wellington's so-called Golden Mile in the CBD.
The project is incredibly important because it's going to open up our street to be focused on public transport, cycling, walking, and widening our street so that we can have things like outdoor dining, all that good stuff. I'm really pleased that I was able to negotiate with the government to retain that project despite their opposition, and that has been, I think, a good example of us working together. In terms of the construction period, yes, it's going to be tough. That's why I've set up a Merrill Business Group so that we can develop some kind of support package to see them through. Early indications show that we'll have some sort of grant system. We're going to look at the downtown levy and see how that's distributed across businesses. And we're really working on like a city activation plan to ensure that people keep coming back to the city. Like we've approved up to 50 new parklets so that people can have outdoor dining. We have a New Year's Eve party coming up. And we're going to trial a lot of street closures to get the crowds back.
Right. The council's set to vote on the sale of its shares in Wellington Airport, upon which your entire long-term plan rests. Is that going to pass?
Look, at this stage, we have to wait for the information to come back on October the 10th. And what
as in the vote?
As in the vote to withdraw the airport from the long-term plan. That will outline what impact that will have. Will it mean undoing our LTP and going back to consultation? Will we need to make cuts elsewhere to make up that form of self-insurance? Early indications have said yes, and I am disappointed that it's come up. However, I'm committed to working with concerned councillors to see if we can find some sort of compromise to keep the long-term plan on the table.
Sorry, just to be totally clear, do you think that the council is going to approve selling the shares or not?
I mean, we've already had one of the signatories come out and oppose it because he doesn't want to exclude Mana Whenua from that big decision. Neither do I. So it's actually, I would have the casting vote in this situation. So I'm not worried about that NOM in particular. What I am worried about is the impact. There are two things. Again, excluding Mana Whenua from our very key decision, which is not honouring Te Tiriti and our Tākai Here partnership. And two, I think there are other ways to come to a compromise in how we set up that form of self-insurance.
Right, I'm just a little bit confused, sorry. Do you think that the council will approve selling the shares?
I don't think so. And I think other councillors will see what impact it would have. But I just want to let the community know that those who are concerned about the airport shares, I'm talking to other councillors to see what ways we can still continue with our solid long-term plan, but make up that insurance. And is there another way we can look at the airport sale? Conversations still continue. It's signed off, but I'm happy to continue having conversations.
So the local government minister said it would be, quote, a significant issue if Wellington City Council didn't pass a long-term plan. Will it ultimately mean, if you can't sell those shares, that the long-term plan as it stands won't be viable? We
know for sure on October 10th, but I'm pretty confident it would become unviable, the long-term plan.
What does that mean for Wellington?
I think it would be pretty devastating. So it would mean going out to public consultation again in a year. It is still finding out ways to make up that form of self-insurance, which is about $500 million. If we can't get it from the airport sale, we'll need to get it from our capital programs. So things like social housing or water, which is absolutely not what the community wants. So I would just encourage councillors, put Wellington first, think about our long-term plan, which I think is really solid, and let's just keep everything on track.
What does it mean for your leadership if you can't build support to pass this?
I would see that as a failure.
It's a pretty big one.
Yeah. I'm not concerned, but I think that would be incredibly disappointing.
When did you last formally meet Simeon Brown?
Okay, I met him, it would have been at a Merrill forum probably a couple of months ago.
Right. How's your relationship?
It's good. I think there's this perception that we don't get on and we talk past each other and so forth. That's absolutely not the case. We've met a few times now where we have quite a productive relationship. It's very clear we disagree on the fundamental things around transport and climate action, but I think we respect each other's positions and we'll just try to work together to get things through. And that is like things on the Golden Mile and, prioritising our bus network. I'm heartened to see those sorts of things go through. I'm not going to always agree where he puts some of his transport funding, and I've made that clear, but we tend to respectfully agree to disagree.
He's introduced a new framework to introduce regional deals. What would a good regional deal for Wellington look like? I
think for us, three big issues that have come up. So water reform is our biggest one. In terms of us working together as a region to develop a sustainable CCO model, that is the first cab off the rank that has to be dealt with, and we're committed to working that through. So
that's not a regional deal, though.
No, it's not a regional deal, but I think that is the priority. But we need to look at things like public transport and ensuring that people can get in and out of the region easily at a lower cost. We are quite concerned about climate adaptation and things like sea level rise and what that means for managed retreat and what we're going to do with our outside communities. And I think, one big conversation that has come up is we've seen rates increases across the region, across the country. What other financing tools can we look at, like congestion charging, GST sharing, to put some ease on that? But are there better ways to work together as a region in the future to improve planning and therefore making it easier for requests for funding?
Christopher Luxon has repeatedly called out the Tākina Convention Centre as an example of irresponsible spending by local government. Is he right?
No. He is absolutely wrong. I've been very proud of Tākina, which was decided and built before my term, but I still remain very proud of this beautiful centre that brings in so many exhibitions. We've had Doctor Who, we've had Marvel, we had the Jurassic Park Lego one, which was insanely popular.
It's running at a loss, though.
Oh, narrowly it is, and that's quite consistent with events across the country as well. But what has been missed is the impact that it has on our local economy. So that conference in particular that he presented at, it brought in $1 million in revenue into our city because, of course, we had hundreds of people enjoying Wellington City, and that's great. We've done that with developers in Mana Whenua. It's a great example of how a development project could work. And when it came to the budget and what we spent on it, it was only like 1% over budget in comparison to other centres which have been significantly more.
Christopher Luxon backs a mega tunnel option, a 4-kilometre tunnel as a replacement for the Mountain Vic tunnel. What do you think of that?
So I've made this clear to Minister Brown and Minister Bishop. I was like I oppose an underground tunnel. We know that it's going to be significantly expensive. Where is the money for that, for one? And we ought to be investing in initiatives that improve public transport. Our emissions, we need to get them lower. We need affordable transport. We need denser housing and all of that good stuff to make living affordable. An underground tunnel, in my view, doesn't do that. However, I have said, look, if this goes ahead, which is their decision, it has to be fully funded by them. This is not our project. And it would be great to look at how can Wellington City look at urban development in a better way, pedestrianisation, if we're going to shift the motorway.
2 years ago, you came in promising unity after years of dysfunction around Wellington's council table. Can you honestly say you've delivered that?
Well, it doesn't look that way. What I will say is the majority of councillors that we have put Wellington first, are there for the right reasons, want to ensure that we develop into a future-focused city that we can be proud of for the future generation. There is a small few that unfortunately overshadow a lot of that good work because of their dysfunctional behaviour, and I think that's been carried on from previous previous terms, and it's a shame. But I just encourage the public, don't let that sort of political riffraff sort of take over the good work that the council is doing. We have a really solid long-term plan that will put our city into the future.
Except the long-term plan's not going to be viable.
Exactly. So, which is a shame.
What does that say about unity?
And again, that is due to a small number of councillors, and it does a disservice to Wellington.
It's not really a small number of councillors. I mean, you need a majority to pass it, obviously,
Yes.
but you need many councillors to be opposing your plans in order to not pass a long-term plan.
And I don't have a majority that oppose my plan. We just have to...
But you're likely to have a majority who oppose the sale of the shares on which your plan relies.
No, I don't think so.
Hang on, go back to that. You don't think that... Just be totally clear, I'm just confused. Are you going to have support on the council to sell the shares?
So I think I've been answering your question in reverse. So, I think we will continue selling the shares, and we will continue having a solid long-term plan.
Okay, so I think we're 100% clear on this. So at the start of the interview, I asked you if you thought you would have support to sell the shares and pass the long-term plan.
Yes.
And you said no at that
No,
time.
I'm sorry. I thought you were asking the other question in reverse. I'm so sorry.
Okay. No, can you just be totally clear with us? So we're 100% clear. You think you will have support to sell the shares?
Yes, I do. I apologise. So I am confident that once councillors truly see what impact that not selling the shares will have on our long-term plan, they will see just what a negative impact that will have on the city's future. I'm confident that we will continue to move forward and work on our long-term plan, and that includes selling the shares.
So that means October 10th, the council agrees to sell the shares, your long-term plan is passed?
Yes.
Right, that's the exact opposite of what you said to me a couple of minutes ago.
I'm sorry, I took in your question in a different way, and that could have been quite scandalous.
Okay. Okay. Just back to this question of unity. You let your Green Party membership expire, and I remember at the time you said that was to try and build unity around the council table. Now you've decided to renew it.
Yes.
You ordered an independent investigation into 5 of your council colleagues for allegedly leaking information on the Reading Cinema deal. Are those moves in the interests of council unity?
So in terms of the putting my membership on pause, so I did it because a couple of councillors were concerned, and so I said, look, just to show you that I am independent and can work across political lines, I'll put it on hold for a bit, and that worked. So I ended up working very closely in the end with 2 councillors, Councillor Panovich, Councillor Brown.
Does that mean that now you're not independent because you've renewed it?
No, I'm still. So a lot of people get confused around what it actually means to be a Green Party member. So I put it on hold because they didn't understand at the time what that meant. They assumed that because I was still a Green Party member that I would only align to Green Party policy. I've proved to them, I said at the time, that's not the case. They didn't believe it, so I said, look, I'll put my membership on hold just to show in good faith I can remain independent. After 2 years, they've since realised, because I've worked collaboratively with them, that actually it didn't matter whether I was a Green member or not. So I have picked it up again. That was straight after Efeso passed, because I kind of wanted to be part of that community again and help with that healing process.
And that other move of yours to order that independent investigation cost $43,000 of ratepayers' money, an investigation into 5 of your council colleagues. Was that in the interest of unity?
I would ask, was the leaking in the interest of unity? The reality is that was
No evidence was found of leaking.
There was evidence of the breach of the Code of Conduct.
Breach of the Code of Conduct, yes, but no evidence of leaking, right?
So there was evidence that there was actually leaking, but it was very difficult to identify.
Ascertain who was responsible.
Ascertain who was responsible, but it also did show that a number of those councillors did go to the media right away when they were told not to. And it's unfortunate. That is kind of the sort of behaviour that has been existing this term and in previous terms that leads to that disunity, no trust. I try to use one tool, the only tool that I have available, to be able to investigate and look into ways we can change this behaviour. I think it really goes to show actually just how difficult local government is. And when you're dealing with a whole range of councillors who are aligned to different parties, this isn't a caucus at all. And whereas in Parliament, you can pull a portfolio from one of your MPs if they've done something similar, or they stand down. You cannot do that with local government. All you have is a code of conduct. I have seen with that process it's completely inadequate and not the way to move forward. And I think it just shows how difficult local government is.
So Councillor Diane Calvert called this week for the government to install a Crown Observer at Council. What do you think that says about unity in the council right now?
I think it's consistent with what she's tried to do for many years. So again, it is the same councillors who, when they don't agree with a decision that has been democratically made, they launch a notice of motion or ask for observers. It is a minority view, a huge distraction and disservice for Wellington.
Did you actually sell your car to pay the bills?
Oh, I think that whole thing has been well canvassed over the last few days. It is a distraction. We should be focusing on Wellington City.
Okay, I will, but just be totally clear with us, just so we understand it, and then I will move on, because a lot of people looked at that and were like, oh, Tory whānau earns 190 grand. Does she really need to sell her car? I mean, did you need to actually sell a car to pay the bills?
No, I actually didn't. And it's a shame because it was taken out of context. It was an hour-long interview. You get a bit relaxed. I mean, the main reason actually was because it's a walkable city. I don't need a car living in the city centre, so, you know.
So why did you say otherwise?
What I said was, yes, I've sold my car and made some comments. What I do think is that it's been completely blown out of proportion and a distraction from the real issues facing Wellington City.
You didn't need to sell your car to pay the bills. Why did you explain in that interview that you were feeling the pinch, and as an example, you'd sold the car to free up money?
Come on, Jack. Do we really think the public need to know about the reason why I sold my car? We're talking about a car.
Well, you were the one who raised it.
when we're dealing, no, you raised it now.
No, you raised it in the interview the other day. It's an example of how you were empathising with other people doing it tough.
I answered a question, and I think how it's generated 7 different headlines is again a distraction from the real issue of Wellington City. Again, what I really want to be talking about is the highest level of investment that we've put into our water infrastructure, $1.8 billion. We have significant transport investment. I've delivered over 26 kilometres of cycleways across the city. This is really good stuff. My car is just such a blip on this.
Did you mislead people with that comment?
No, I didn't mislead people. I think actually what has happened is I was probably very generous with my time when it came to an interview. Like an entire hour for a radio show once a month is probably a bit much, and you just kind of tend to let things
You raised it though, right?
He raised it.
But you were the one who raised the selling your car in order to pay the bills.
I mean,
from the outside, that just looks like, if it wasn't true, that just looks like a lie.
No. I think we're focusing way too much on just an offhand comment about a car when we should be focusing on Wellington City.
I'll move on. Do you think you'll win next year?
I think it'll be really hard, but I do think I have a good chance at winning. And what I've promised Wellingtonians is, yes, I know it's tough. Yes, we've had to increase rates, but that's due to the level of underinvestment that we've had for the previous decades. And unfortunately, when you pull into account the water infrastructure that is needed, the pipes that need replacing, public transport, and of course being in an earthquake-prone city, so we have all of our buildings that we're still upgrading. It is expensive, but the spend is needed to create a future-focused city. This is the worst it's going to get. The rates will start to decrease over time. And I hope that people see, if you want your city to keep transforming into a modern city, I will promise to keep that plan going. I know there were other candidates who have come in to make promises about decreasing rates, cancelling programs. I think that would be disastrous. When you pause certain projects, big transformational projects, they end up escalating in cost, and then you end up with a crumbling city. That is not what I want.
Do you still want to do 3 terms?
Yes, I do. You know, it's a long time, but I'm proud of the role that I have. I really want to play a meaningful part in shaping our city, for our capital city to be one of the best in the world. Like, how amazing would that be? And so, but it takes more than just one term. It takes continuity and consistency. And if I can do that for 9 years, to see our 10-year plan through, I think that would be really amazing.
Finally then, reflecting on the last couple of years, I mean, I know there have been ups and downs, and there always are in politics, but what have you learned? What have you learned about leadership?
I've learned that local government is very hard, and I underestimated just how difficult it is for local government and the little support that they receive. I've learned that becoming a public figure, it's a completely unique experience that you don't really become prepared for, and I've certainly learnt my lessons in the first year. My first year in this mayoralty was a learning curve, and it was me learning how to be mayor, learning how to do things in local government. This year has been about setting the foundations of our long-term plan, and the next year will be seeing it through. So I feel like I've learned a lot about myself, the way that I want to lead. I really like where I've landed. I feel healthier, I remain empathetic and compassionate, and I know why I'm doing this now, and I want to live by my values and ensure that we create an equal, thriving, affordable city that is, that we can be really proud of.
That's Wellington Mayor Tory Whanau. Now, regarding the car sale, after the interview, the Mayor's office approached us and asked us to read a statement. They said, quote, "The Mayor sold her car to help with her mortgage, where her weekly repayments had doubled. It also made sense to sell as it was no longer needed because she had moved into a townhouse near the city centre," unquote.